On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
I am Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool. We are Locked On Cowboys, back to talk about the Cowboys' Week 9 loss to the Denver Broncos. We want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day. Landon, let's just start here. Thoughts of the Cowboys game this week?
Yeah, it's nothing positive, that's for sure. I mean, first of all, I watched the game on my phone on a plane, which is not recommended viewing method for Cowboys fans. It was.
Well, I'll tell you this: it didn't matter where you watched it. This one, it was not going to be a fun viewing experience.
No,
trust me.
No, to be fair, that's definitely true. I definitely tried to turn it off a couple different times, but I was also stuck on a plane and had nothing else to do but watch the game. So I was forced to watch the whole thing sitting there, trying not to punch the back of my the chair in front of me and that sort of thing. Look, I think they laid an egg. They came out and played poor football. I don't even know. I think Denver played a very good game, but I mean, I go back and watch the game last night, and it's just unforced error after unforced error, and just the team did not look ready to play. I mean, there's not really much positive to say about the effort or about the level of preparation that they had for this team. It just felt like they. People want to say flat. I don't know that the energy was flat. I think that they came out confused, and then they could not get out of their own way. And just a lot of little things kind of built up into a whole bunch of big things as they started pressing near the end of the game. So it was ugly. They just came out, and Denver looked like they wanted to win this game more than they did. And Dallas looked like they've been smelling their own poop, as they say, I guess, to be kind.
Yeah. At what point are we going to just blame me for this loss? Because I did pick them on our Friday show.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, I share equal blame. I did see somebody on Twitter that was talking about how I was speaking too confidently about this. And look, I will accept whatever level of blame. But I will say that, we talked about this. Like, I think even early on, I mentioned that, I think the biggest thing that the Cowboys have to fight against was complacency. And I think, honestly, complacency is what got them. It just felt like, I think it'd be one thing if like one or two people had a bad game, but I mean, we'll get into it, but I when your top three receivers have, I think it was 19 targets and they convert six of those into catches in a game that you need to throw to win. That's not great, No. And some of that's Dak, but a lot of it's the wide receivers too. A lot of it's the offensive line, and then we'll get into the defense too. But I just think there's plenty of blame to go around all around this team, and I actually think this will be a good thing because I think this is if you're going to lose to a non-conference team, but do it in the vein of learning from your mistakes, of bouncing back from this. I mean, I'm hoping that this is a huge bucket of cold water on this team. Because they definitely could have, if they haven't, lost their opportunity to be in contention for the number one seed in the NFC because of this loss.
I want to start here. We're going to get to Dak and the offense and everything that went wrong. There were 3 plays in this game that really stood out to me that were the difference, and I'll go through them right now. The second drive of the game. So the Cowboys actually forced a 3-and-out by the Broncos in the first drive. They actually lost 10 yards. On the second drive, Jordan Lewis gets a tackle for a loss. So it's 2nd and 13, and they get a 13-yard run from Javonte Williams. Okay. Yep. They end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. A couple drives later, they have a 2nd and 20 from their own 8-yard line, and they get a 15-yard Melvin Gordon run that sets up a 3rd and short, which they convert to go on to score another field goal. In the second half, they had a 2nd and 17, and they got an 18-yard run from Javonte Williams. When you're in 2nd and extra long. I mean, you've got to get them to 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and win on those downs. And the fact that the Cowboys gave up 3 big plays there, you just kind of knew it wasn't their day. Like, you've got to win in those situations, and they weren't doing it.
Same thing with the punt block.
Same thing with the
it's
punt
like
block. Yep.
you blocked the punt. You're inside their own 20, and you managed to find a way to fumble that back to them. Due to the way that the rule is. Real quick about the rule. I don't love the rule. I wish that, I mean, that is the rule and there's no disputing and shouldn't have touched it. I wish that they would do it like the punt, right? Where, or at least they should make the rule that if the ball advances past the first down marker, then they get the first down. Like, I don't understand how there's this nebulous region between the first down and the line of scrimmage that if you touch it after a block and they pick it up, it's like they get a fresh set of downs. I don't really understand that part of it.
I guess it's treated as a muff at that point, but it's
I know,
it's a weird rule. But I like what Mike McCarthy said. They asked him about the rule, if he liked it or not, and he said it doesn't matter. Like it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter ultimately. And they knew the rule. Nate Nation right after the game talked about how he knew what the rule was, and he still did it because he was trying to make a play and
trying to make a play.
I'll
be honest. I think even if they get that, I'm not sure Dallas was winning that game. I know they would have a chance to cut it to one score.
Sure.
The defense just did not show up at all. They really didn't.
They were struggling to get off blocks in a way that they hadn't previously, and that was really I think the thing is that they kept on getting stuck on blocks, and you're just waiting for somebody to, flash off of these guys and make a tackle. And then that was the other thing. Tackling was terrible.
Oh my gosh,
just guys weren't bringing people down to the ground. And, even guys like Micah Parsons, whose stat line looks amazing. I mean, he had at least 2 missed tackles.
I think he had at least 3. I can think of 3 off the top of my head that he missed. And ones that, like, okay, you miss a tackle sometimes and, somebody else is there to clean it up. But, like, he missed tackles and all of a sudden those 4-yard runs are turning into 13-yard runs. Like the Javonte Williams one where he almost broke free for a touchdown is inexcusable.
That was embarrassing, man. Like, that was just embarrassing to watch, honestly, as a Cowboys fan. And they're going to have to go watch that tape too. And I hope they're embarrassed because they have got to clean that up. And, they're better defense than that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing is that, I think there's a lot of talk out there about how this team was exposed and no. I just think they played poorly. And if you can't see that you played poorly and fix that, then they're in trouble. Yep. But I just, there was a lot of, like I said, I think unforced errors is the way to put it. I mean, just, things where, the Broncos were fighting hard, but the Cowboys just kind of let a lot of this stuff happen to them just, due to a lack of preparedness and some of it's bad luck too. But I think it's all of that combined into what was just an utter disaster, especially in the first half.
I agree. I want to get to the offense in just a second. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about DirecTV Stream. I had the ability yesterday to watch 3 games at one time because of DirecTV Stream. And it was really fun watching Dak and Derek Carr throw interceptions within 5 seconds of each other to make sure that the games turned out to be losses. That was a really enjoyable experience. And I can only do it with DirecTV. Actually, you guys are fantastic because I was able to watch some other more entertaining games like the Baltimore-Minnesota game. DirecTV Stream brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That is directtv.com. All right, Landon, let's talk about the Cowboys offense. They had 0 points going into the fourth quarter of this game. They did score 16 points late. Not that it really matters. Even with the garbage time yards, only 290 total yards in this game. The offense was just completely inept. I believe Dak had 6 completions entering the fourth quarter. You mentioned the drops. Just for whatever reason, nothing seemed to work. Do you think it was because of what Denver did? Do you think it was just the Cowboys being off? What do you think?
I think that they had some issues with the man match stuff, especially early on. It felt like Dak really struggled on first down, especially throwing the football. And that's really what kind of ended up putting them behind the chain is, first down passes are great. But if you can't, if like 3 or 4 drives in a row, you're not getting completions on those first downs. You're starting each one of those drives with second and longs, which unless you're the Denver Broncos and you can just run on second and long, it was tough for the Cowboys to kind of get passed on. And, ultimately, I think that Denver did some things that we thought they would. Like I said, they kind of kept in that too high shell and then rotated their safeties late. They kind of protected themselves, like I mentioned, with more man match concepts, and some of the robber stuff that they were doing that really kind of just muddied the reads up in the pass game. And then on top of that, there was a lot of pressure, all throughout the game. There was just, Dak was getting pressured, especially on the left side. Terrence Steele had a really rough day at left tackle.
9 pressures he gave up in this game and multiple penalties. It was not good.
That's not great. Definitely time for Tyron Smith to take that job back. I just think, but I mean, look, you go and watch it. Tony Pollard had a ridiculously stupid drop on third down. Cedric Wilson had a drop. CeeDee Lamb had a drop. CeeDee Lamb had a drop, and then Amari Cooper had a very bad drop. CeeDee Lamb, and I think that may have been his first drop of the season. It was his
first drop of the year. Yep.
And CeeDee Lamb, who had a drop and then later went up and got a ball in the air and couldn't come down with it, which, again,
he should catch that one.
He should catch that.
That's one.
That's a CD that you need to catch that. So, I think those are all things. And then I think, the Dak was off. There's no way around that. Like, that was one of Dak's worst games. And beyond just, throwing the football, I thought that they didn't check out of some bad situations, especially in those fourth down plays. They should have checked out of those plays. Dak should have been checking them out based on alignment like that. I'm thinking specifically that first wide zone they ran wide zone on 4th and 1. Yeah. I was like, I don't know, man. It's not a short against that alignment. Against that alignment, there's a lot of room to lose yardage there, and essentially they got penetration and we're able to stop Zeke for short. So I just think that I'm hoping that Dak is going to watch this game and just be furious with himself and work extra hard to kind of get back on track. I'm not like pressing the panic button or anything on this offense because I just think it was just a lot of bad timing and coordination, and Dak, hadn't played in 2+ weeks. So I'm hoping that, with a good week of practice that this will kind of get cleaned up a little bit. But, I just think it started to snowball on them once they weren't able to score early. The defense got scored on early. That's, like I said, that's a very bad combination for the Cowboys. It's not that they can't come back, but their defense kind of, the longer that they had to continue to play a balanced game plan, they get exposed. It's problematic for them. They are built to stop the pass. They are built to stop teams that are throwing the football. And I think that, the Cowboys offense wasn't able to provide that game script for them. And then it kind of just became like I said, a boulder just rolling downhill that they couldn't really kind of get a grip on. And then, bad luck started entering into it and they started pressing and it just made it worse. And, at a certain point, it's just not worth watching anymore. You just know, okay, they've kind of dug themselves into a hole. This is not something they're going to correct today. And you just kind of take your lumps and realize good teams have these days sometimes, but good teams find ways to correct what they did wrong in these games. So that's really the big thing is, are we going to see correction next week against Atlanta?
And it was just one of those things where, so they started the game off with 2 4th down attempts, right? The first 2 drives, and they got neither of them, right? And then on the next possession, they had a 4th and 1 from their own 45-yard line, and they don't go for it. It's like, okay, now what are you doing? Anger punts the ball into the back of the end zone. The next play, the Broncos hit a big play to Jerry Jeudy, and they're already back to where Dallas had the ball anyway. So it's like you got spooked because you didn't convert the first 2 4th downs, and now you're punting when you probably should go for it. It was just, man, it was a weird day that just snowballed in. Those happen.
I honestly don't blame McCarthy there. His team was playing terribly. Both the offense and the defense, and it's like, it definitely was not the right decision. I mean, I'm not agreeing with the decision, but I don't blame McCarthy for being like, look, I got to protect my defense at this point because they're playing terrible. So, but it doesn't help that anger puts the ball into the end zone instead of punting it short. And again, just more miscues, more problems. Just like your players not making plays. I mean, ultimately, every single one of your big players failed you in this game, and it's kind of rare you see that both players on both sides. This team is not good enough to overcome both sides of the ball playing poorly. That's just that's clear. And I don't think any team is in the NFL. So when you get a day where both sides are playing that bad, just bad execution football, you feel like you'd rather be executed than watching the game.
I will say there's no shame in losing in the NFL. That happens. We saw it all week long. You're going to even get upset. The Cowboys were a double-digit point favorite in this one, and they lost. That's going to happen. Like it happened to multiple teams this week. What's a little concerning is not showing up, right? Like to be down 30-0 at home that's where it's a little concerning that you couldn't find any way to kind of dig yourself out of a hole. That's where I'm a little nervous. I'm hoping it's not just I'm hoping it was just a game where the ball just didn't bounce their way and they just came out flat. I think we're going to learn a lot about this Cowboys team next week against the Falcons. Like if they're kind of sleepwalk into that one, just thinking, hey, last week was just a fluke. We're going to be fine. We'll beat the Falcons. The Falcons aren't as good. And all of a sudden they're down 10-0 in that game. That's when it's going to be a little concerning, but I'm not overly concerned right now. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I have way too much evidence pointing the other way. I mean, they've lost 2 games, they played 8. So there's been definitely more positive indications for this team, a lot more positive indications for this team than negative. And the negative has been, largely isolated to this game. I mean, it was all the ugly things all at once. The Cowboys got them. So, I mean, you need more than one to be a trend. And this is definitely, I don't think, a trend. I have a hard time believing that the Cowboys will do this again next week, because I think Quinn will get them fired up, whether or not he will admit it or not, about, hey, we're playing my old team.
Yep.
Keanu Neal and why am I completely forgetting his name?
KZ.
Number 18.
Yep.
KZ will also, be part of that as well. And I think for the offense, they'll be embarrassed. I mean, they should be embarrassed. Like this was an embarrassing performance. I think that, Vic Fangio is a defensive mastermind and clearly has, got his own, coaching tree separate of like the Belichick, but kind of rivaling at this point. And I think he had a great game plan. But I'm not like, this isn't like a blueprint for the Cowboys to lose to. I mean, it's, the blueprint that you're trying to replicate is have all your key players drop a bunch of third down catches and have Dak play poorly. I think Denver definitely had an effect on the game for sure. But I feel like this was much more a case of the Cowboys just shooting themselves in the foot and not being able to overcome it.
All right, I want to continue to talk a little bit about this game and the Cowboys going into the second half of the season. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Built Bar. I think the Cowboys certainly could have used a few Built Bars yesterday. It's real chocolate with amazing flavors. It's just a great combination of low calories, high protein, and low sugar with no crazy additives. Best of all, they taste fantastic. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next box at BuiltBar.com. Also want to tell you guys about Bet Online. We are back and better than ever with a new web interface for the start of the basketball season, because if the Cowboys weren't disappointing enough, the Los Angeles Lakers certainly are. Bet Online remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to use today, and you can receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. All right, Landon, let's talk about the Cowboys going forward. We're 8 games into the season now. We've got 9 games left. How do you view this team? Are you still thinking they're a legitimate contender in the NFC? Do you think the number 1 seed is still in the equation? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's still possible. I mean, anything can happen. I don't, Arizona right now is, I would say, the favorite, and I just have a hard time believing in them in the long term. And maybe I'm
They do have an
wrong, but
impressive slate of wins, and their only loss came on a play where if AJ Green just turns around, they win. They could be easily 9-0 right now.
that's true. I just feel like they're extremely volatile, and they started to lose some of the key defensive pieces, and that could add up
Sure.
eventually. But we'll see. I think obviously that's the Cowboys have a chance to play them. Obviously, I think it's the week 16 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are still within striking distance. I mean, they only have 2 losses, just like most of the other teams in the NFC that are in the race, except for Arizona. And I think that they still have a really relatively easy schedule. I think, it would have been great to win this game and then kind of get another a lead up above some of these other folks. You really kind of need Tampa Bay to lose another game sooner than later. And I think that the talent here is certainly there to do this. Like, we've seen more proof that this is a good team than we've seen proof that they're a bad team or even a middling team. So, yeah, I still really believe in this group. I think you get Tyron Smith back. I think we still have not seen Gallup back. We still have not
He'll
seen
be back this week. There's no way that he's not,
DeMarcus
right?
Lawrence and Gallimore and all those guys are coming back. That will help with the run game, obviously, at the very least. But I also think it will help with a lot of other stuff too. And I just think that there's too much talent on this team. We've seen too much positive stuff against over a series of weeks for me to kind of lose confidence in this group because they laid an egg in one game. It happens. Even Super Bowl winners do this. Go back and look. Like, there's tons of examples.
Buccaneers did it a couple times last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. It happens. These teams are good, and it's like the old saying says, styles make fights. And sometimes it's a tough matchup, and combined with your a lack of preparation there, and you kind of just get steamrolled. And so for the Cowboys, they need to use this as a jumping off point, a wake up call for the rest of the season. Yes. That, hey, every single week is going to be a fight, especially once you become a contender or whatever. Everyone's gunning for you. So you need to be ready for that, just week to week and prepare like that.
Week to week. Needless to say, this Week 10 game against the Falcons, I just think is big, right? Because I do think if you lose this game, that's when some of the doubt starts to set in. Like, are we really that good, or did we just kind of get lucky early on in the season? Like, they need to come out. They need to start fast and win the game. They don't need to blow the Falcons out because it's hard to blow teams out in the NFL. You just need to win. I think we'll learn a lot about this Cowboys team. Do you want to go ahead and make a guess as to how many points the Cowboys are favored by in this one?
Are they favored? I would say they're playing in Dallas, right? So
Dallas. My brother watched it
say
the game.
By the fact that you're suggesting it, that you're asking me, that it's probably 8 points.
9 points. So Vegas still believes in this Cowboys team. They believe they're going to bounce back. We shall see. We're going to spend all week getting ready for the game. We're going to have an all 22 show sometime this week. And my gosh, that's going to be awful. You're going to want to make sure you don't miss that one, because I'm sure we'll be really diving into some of the things that went wrong. We're going to
if you want to see a grown man vomit on a podcast, then please make sure you turn it.
I pulled it up this morning and I'm like, nope, not doing it today. Just can't. I need a little bit of time to distance myself from that game. So I watched the Raiders and the Giants all 22, and that was worse. So I don't know how
say that doesn't sound like that's a good cure for not wanting to watch bad football.
My gosh. All right. Crossover show. Questions on what? Tuesday, Wednesday? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Just let us know. You send your questions in. We just want to thank you guys for watching the show, for listening every single day. I'm sorry the Cowboys didn't win. I'll take responsibility for this one. I promised somebody earlier in the comments that I would never, ever pick the Cowboys again, and I'm going to stick to that. So, there you go.
Okay. All right.
He's Landon McCool. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. You guys can follow the show wherever you get podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Locked On Cowboys. We will see you Tuesday for questions and some all 22 takes. We'll see you guys then.